Everyone asks how ancient humans survived the heat of the day. And the honest answer is that the day was the easy part. In the heat of the afternoon, you have options. You can stop walking. You can sit in shade. You can wait it out. Almost every animal in a hot climate does exactly that. The hard part came later, when the sun went down. Because at night you are not trying to survive the heat. You are trying to sleep in it. And those are completely different problems. You can rest in the heat. Resting is just staying still. Sleeping is something your body has to actively start. And it will quietly refuse to start. Most people have felt this without knowing why. A hot room, a still night, and a body that simply will not switch off. You are tired. You want to sleep. Nothing happens. That is not weakness, and it is not in your head. It is a hard physical rule, and it has never changed. So start with the rule, because everything else follows from it. Your body temperature is not one number. It moves through the day. It peaks in the early evening and bottoms out before dawn. That rise and fall is a clock, and sleep is tied to it. To fall asleep, your core temperature has to drop. Not by much. Roughly 1 degree is enough. But the drop is not optional. It is the trigger. And your body has a specific way of doing it. It pushes warm blood out to the surface, into the hands and the feet. Those parts have no hair and sit right at the edge. Blood arrives, spreads out, and the heat leaves through the skin. This is why warm hands and feet make you drowsy. And why a cold room and a warm bed work so well together. The heat has somewhere to go, so the core comes down. Now take that escape route away and watch what happens. On a hot night, the air is the same temperature as your skin. There is no gradient, so the heat has nowhere to go. Blood arrives at the surface and simply sits there. The core never drops. The trigger never fires. So sleep does not start, and you lie there, awake, for hours. And there is one more thing that makes it worse. Once you are finally asleep, your body largely stops regulating temperature. In deep sleep, sweating and shivering are turned down. You are, for a few hours, an object with no thermostat. So the temperature you fall asleep in matters enormously. Get it wrong and you wake up, over and over, all night. This is the problem every ancient human faced every summer night. And they faced it with something we do not have. A fire. Not a nice fire. A necessary one. Fire kept large animals at a distance. It kept insects away from the smoke. It cooked food, and it lit the ground you were sleeping on. For hundreds of thousands of years, the fire was not optional. Sleeping away from it was genuinely dangerous. But look at what a fire actually is. It is a heat source, a few feet away, that runs all night. On a cold night, that is the difference between living and not. On a hot night, it is the last thing you want. And you cannot turn it down. So here is the choice an ancient human had, every night, in summer. Sleep close to the fire, safe, and sweat. Or sleep further out, cooler, and be less protected. That is not a comfortable trade. It is a real one. And it is the sort of decision that looks small and is not. A group that sleeps badly hunts badly. Tired people misjudge distance, misread tracks, and get hurt. Sleep is not a luxury in that world. It is equipment. So this problem had to be solved, and it was. Not with one clever invention that somebody thought of. With a stack of small, unglamorous adjustments. None of which would look like technology if you saw them. But together they are the reason people slept at all. Start with the simplest one, because it is also the largest. Get up off the ground, because the ground is the enemy. Ground holds the day's heat and gives it back for hours after sunset. Lie directly on it, and you are lying on a radiator. Raise yourself even slightly, and two things change. You lose the heat coming up, and you gain the air moving past. A low platform of branches does both at once. Then go and find the moving air wherever it happens to be. Still air traps a warm shell around a body. Move that air and the shell is stripped away. Even a slight breeze changes how a night feels. So you sleep on a rise, or a ridge, or a riverbank. Not where it is prettiest, where the air moves. Then there is water, which does something almost everybody underestimates. Wet anything, and it cools as the water leaves it. A damp hide over a frame is a cooling device. It is doing exactly what your own skin does. And then the largest adjustment of all, which is time itself. We think of sleep as one solid block at night. That is a modern habit and a fairly recent one. If the early night is unbearable, you do not fight it. So you stop trying, and you sleep in two separate pieces. A stretch after dark, a waking period, then a second stretch. The waking hours in between are not wasted. That is when you talk, tend the fire, watch, and keep company. And the second sleep lands in the coldest part of the night, which is the only part of the night your body can actually use. There is even evidence people shifted the whole day. Work in the cool hours. Rest hard through the worst of the afternoon. That is not laziness. That is scheduling around a hostile afternoon. And the last adjustment was the simplest of the lot. Leave. Camps moved with the season toward water and higher ground. If a place cannot be slept in, it is not a place you live. But the biggest advantage of all was not anything they built. It was the body itself, quietly doing most of the work. Humans are, without much competition, the best sweaters alive. You carry somewhere between 2 and 4 million sweat glands, spread across almost bare skin, over almost the whole body. A dog cannot do this. It pants, and panting is far weaker. A horse sweats, but nothing like as well as we do. Under hard conditions, a person can lose a liter of sweat in an hour. And sweat is not the cooling. Evaporation is. Water leaving skin takes heat with it as it goes. Which is why still, humid air is so much worse than dry heat. The sweat is all there on the skin. It simply cannot leave. And this is where the last video connects to this one. Losing our fur is what made this possible. Fur traps a layer of still air, which is superb in the cold. In the heat, that same layer is the thing stopping evaporation. Bare skin is a terrible coat and an outstanding radiator. The body even tunes itself over a couple of weeks. Move somewhere hot, and you begin sweating sooner and more. And your sweat gets less salty, so you lose less doing it. Nobody teaches you any of that. It just quietly happens. Ancient humans were not enduring the heat. They were built for it. And we can check some of this, because people still live this way. Researchers put sleep trackers on Hadza and sand groups. People with no electric light, no walls, and no way to cool a night. And the results genuinely surprised almost everyone who saw them. They do not sleep more than we do. They sleep less. Somewhere around 6 hours a night, most nights of the year. And their sleep does not follow darkness. It follows temperature. They fall asleep hours after sunset, as the air finally cools. And they wake near dawn, at the coldest point of the night. Not woken by light, woken by the cold, at the bottom of the curve. Which is exactly what a body with no thermostat would do. So what did ancient humans do when it was too hot to sleep? They got off the ground, found the wind, wet what they could. They broke the night in half and took the cold end of it. And underneath all of it, they sweated, because that is what we are for. We never beat the heat. We are the animal that is built for it. The nights were simply the price we paid for it.